That's funny.
I'm hoping he'll get a little rest, a little more rest, so he doesn't just wander around, because if he wanders around for too long before he gets started, then I think it does not do well.
And that's okay. We'll mention that, because I think I said before, but like if we all just show up and everything's perfect,
Yes.
then people try to do something themselves and it doesn't quite go that way. Then they're like, what's wrong with me? Or why didn't this go so smoothly, when it's just.
Well, we'll be the example for things not going so.
Great.
If you need one, I'll volunteer.
Do you have me in a different angle today, Anki? Or you just
maybe a little bit? Do you think, is it not so good?
No, it's fine. I just we probably might have to tip it down a little bit to see more or less ceiling.
The actual camp. This is the the other. Whoops, the other one was my computer camera. This is the one for the floor.
Got it.
You need me to change anything a little bit?
Nope.
All right.
And before you came on, we were talking about different camera angles, which we are recorded now. I'll just mention that again, just in case. But Krisha was saying with another colleague, Michael, who does a course as well, sometimes he'll have people use different camera angles. So at the same time, so you could like log in, for example, and I do this also with a lot of different clients situations. You can log in with an iPad and then maybe also log in with your computer. So we might have, I'm going to use Judy as an example, maybe your computer's over on the side closer to you, but then you have your iPad that gives us a bigger far away view. And that way, sometimes it helps being able to see different things or catch different angles. Again, for separation anxiety, we frequently do that because, wherever you choose, the dog always goes in a different spot. And often, even if you do that too, you're like, you've got 4 cameras and the dog is in the blind spot. You're like, seriously? You're in the one place we didn't put the camera. We're having Sahara dust here. I don't know if I had told everybody about that. It's kind of crazy. If I'm not friends with you on Facebook, or if I am, maybe you didn't see my feed, but it it looks like a hazy, foggy day. It's brighter now, but in the morning, like we were out at like 6:37, and the sun is already up, but it looks like the moon because it's just such a big dust plume. And apparently the Sahara dust is moving towards the States, although I don't know if it will dissipate somewhat by the time it gets there, but they're saying it's like the highest recorded I forget what it's per, but molecules of dust. I'm saying molecules, not really molecules.
Highest density.
Yes, thank you. And this morning from San Juan, from the airport, it was only like 3 miles visibility, which is very low.
Wow.
Usually we're like the Caribbean, you can kind of see. So they're advising, against being outside and doing things, but we still have to take the dogs out, and we still went for a little run because we couldn't for months. When the lockdown happened, we couldn't go outside and exercise or anything. So yeah, but I guess people with asthma and stuff really have to be careful right now with the Sahara dust. We always get it in June and July, and there are 2 benefits to it as well. It apparently keeps a lot of the sunlight from getting to the ocean, so it doesn't heat up. So we have less opportunity for hurricanes and good sunsets, but we haven't had good sunsets yet. So I'm thinking maybe like after the bulk of it passes by, that's when that will happen. So, yeah.
That's a great example of something where you think, oh, well, that's terrible. And then like, oh, actually, that's really good. Like, there's always, everything always has a silver lining. Yeah. Very often.
Yes, for sure. Anything that keeps the hurricanes away, we're happy with.
Yeah, I bet. I used to live in Saipan, which is
that's right.
Island as well. Yeah, and so the typhoons were a big deal for sure.
Yeah.
School was like, it ripped the whole lid off of the college that I taught at. Like the roof was missing for a while, so we had to pause.
Yeah.
School buses were flying, and it was a big deal.
That's a big deal for sure.
Yep. That'll happen. Yeah. So the separation anxiety, and feel free to not answer that now if you don't want to, but I would love to have you do a course on that. So I don't know if that's something you could do.
I would. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah. For sure.
All right. We've got about 4 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and let the one person in, and then we'll see if the other folks show up.
And is Anki hidden? I don't see her anymore. She probably.
I turned my camera off.
Okay.
Still here. Here we are.
And if you click on the participants tab, you'll be able to see, even though the non-camera people.
Yeah, I think I had it in the, how there's like a switch off and on, and then I must have had it in the off.
Yeah. Do you want me to mute myself?
Yep. So Betty and Anki's already muted, I think, but you guys can mute yourself and/or turn your camera off, and then we'll hide you, and then we'll see you soon. Yep. Can't hear you now. Okay, so now I'm going to hide non-video participants. Excellent.
So Judy, I'm thinking that your camera could be tilted down a little bit. That way, if Jet's on the ground, you can see her more.
Yeah. I ordered one of the holders, Grisha, that you had mentioned.
Oh, great.
It's arriving tomorrow. That's what she was saying earlier. Yeah. Judy, a little bit back that way, and if you can't, we'll bring Jet up on the couch, so it will be okay.
Yeah. If it's hard, don't worry about it.
Let's see.
A little bit more.
Did I do anything?
A little bit
now
more.
You cut off your head a little bit, so just a little bit less tilt, and then catching more of the couch.
Let's see.
Sorry, I just blew the whole thing.
No, that's all right.
I didn't realize it was going to be so hard. My sorry.
It's because the iPad, but again, once she gets the holder thing, it will be great.
Yeah.
So it's
Judy, a little bit more that away when you get a chance.
To your left a little bit, and then a little bit up.
Yep.
There. Okay, hold on one sec. I have a little plant behind it. Oh, no, it just flipped up.
It was good, and then it did its own thing. Yeah. Just down a tiny bit.
I'm so sorry.
I get like half of that portrait in there.
No, I'm always forever saying less ceiling, more floor.
Yeah.
That's why
going to be perfect if it stays.
We
there we
gave
go.
Jet this
Is that any good?
Yes, perfect.
Thank you.
We gave Jet the stationing position on the couch for this camera setup reason.
Oh, the whole thing fell.
That's okay. Oh, sorry for your plant though.
Oh my goodness.
And the phone, whatever just fell, or the iPad.
That was my whole iPad.
Oh dear.
It's still functioning. That's good. And you didn't swear on the recording, which is also good.
No.
Yeah.
Look at you, Judy. Good job.
Yes. Quick treat all around.
Yes.
Gorgeous.
And we didn't start yet either, so.
Okay.
Almost ready.
I'm just looking to see what else I can use. I'm sorry. This is
okay. You want to try it back the way you had it, and I'll guide you as to what we can see.
I have this cover for it, but I don't know how it's supposed to really work.
There you go.
Jet, you're all right, honey.
A little bit back that way towards your right, and then down a teeny bit if you're able. And I can see something blocking the left side.
That's the holder.
Yeah.
I'll be right there.
Okay.
Sorry. I should have kept my mouth shut.
Sometimes when we try to make it a little bit better, we're like, oh.
This is like with the dog training, right? So like training to the point of failure. Pretty much.
I was just going to make an analogy.
Oh my God.
Like KPA students, sometimes when they're doing their tests, they've got a really good version and they're like, do you want to keep this one or keep going? And they're like, I want to keep going. And you're like,
Just stop here. Well, it's
keep it. It's really good.
This is going to work. That's not good.
There's nothing, like we don't necessarily, if we could tilt this down.
Yep.
This thing's not going to stay.
Yeah, just do whatever arrangement.
Whatever you had before I said anything was good enough.
We're getting
I feel like I'm on Candid Camera or something.
Must have been like a purple day. We're all wearing purple today. Purpley color.
Oh yeah, it is purplish.
All right. I'm really.
So I'm just gonna. Oh no.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was thinking I could, if you wanted, I could mute you while we do the setting up of the camera, and then I could just do the intro, and then by that time, magically the camera will be ready, so I don't waste time doing an intro. Does that work?
Watch for me, Judy, too, and I'll give you a thumbs up or point if we need.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So I'll go ahead and get us started. Thank you so much for being here. I'm excited for this third session. We'll be continuing on with getting those, getting the conditioning done. And I'm laughing right now because so for the folks on the recording, who we've just, the camera was perfectly set up with Judy and Jet. And then I was like, why don't we just change this one small piece? And now, because it was a delicately held situation, it's fallen apart. And as Terry and I were talking, that's very similar to how we do or how dog trainers sometimes overdo it, where we get 17 good repetitions. And we're like, why don't we just try for one more that's a little bit more challenging? And then the dog goes over threshold. So anyway, and while they finish that up, I also wanted to introduce or mention that this week I'll be doing the BAT chats. So every Thursday, the last Thursday of every month, I'll be doing going over video that people submit of BAT setups. So training for dog reactivity. You can be submitting with your own dog or a client's dog, and just make sure you have permission if it's a client's dog. And it's a great way to get feedback on those setups. So, and then How to Human is always on Thursdays. And that's a great option for getting some self-care and support right now if you need any. So Terry, are you ready to take over?
I'm ready. Yes. Yes, absolutely. What Grisha was just saying, oftentimes we all know the saying, quit while you're ahead, or, end on a high note, because it's sometimes human nature. And I have
That's perfect, JD.
Some clients more than others that I have to say, I know, you're just going to be inclined to push it that one extra little bit, but just stop. And sometimes with training, I'll need to help with that coaching piece and say, okay, do 5 reps or do 8 reps, because if you don't give a specific number, sometimes people will just not judge on their own that that was the good stopping spot. So, and on that note too, with regard to self-care, yes, certainly we all need that these days. But I was going to say, over the last couple of weeks too, I've had, for example, one of our stars say, oh, the other person did such a wonderful job last week, and I'm sorry mine wasn't perfect. And then the person that first person was talking about at the same time had said, oh, the others did such a great job, and mine wasn't perfect. So I shared with all of them that, of course, A, you're all saying that about each other, and B, you're all doing great. And C, what we were saying at the beginning is that, if we came on and just everything was exactly, without a flaw, without a hitch, that people might go away, well, let's say, why doesn't that work that way for me? So I think if we have a little mistake or something doesn't go as planned, that's okay. That's an opportunity. So we like those because they're teachable moments, and they can show it's not so much that there's a problem, but how we can handle it. That's important. So So again, thanks to Judy and Jet and Nancy and Betty and Anke and Loki for being here today on our session 3.
And I had just one quick suggestion, which I think
I
won't
see
break
you.
anything. If Judy just sits over closer to the edge of the couch, there'll be more room for Jet to be visible. Would that work for you? Yeah.
Yep. She
Okay.
had already moved once, so that was good. You are both on the right path there. Yeah.
Good. And I
So-
will say a Nelson Mandela quote, and then I'm going to go away, which is, I never make mistakes. I either learn or I win. Or I never lose. I either win or I learn.
Oh, that's good. I like that. See, and I just learned something and won because I learned. Everybody was doing really great in practicing this week. Everybody sent me a question or two about what they were working on, which is fantastic. And one of the things that Judy and Jet were working on was because Judy noticed in the past that Jet seemed really fearful of clickers, which was one of the reasons we decided to use a verbal marker. However, at the same time, it was nice to be able to show a verbal marker, a clicker, and a visual marker. So that just kind of worked out fortuitously. But Judy noticed that Jet could hear through the computer the other dogs being clicked and didn't seem to react in that same way as Jet had in the past. So she said, do you think it would be okay if I try to click her? So we actually did a super secret mission aside with the clicker. And Judy, have you practiced a few more times with the clicker since then? Oh, and I think you're muted, Judy. Let me see if I can unmute you. Okay, can you talk? You might still be muted. Sorry for not.
Okay. Can you hear me
you're good.
now?
Yes. Hopefully we have all our technical difficulties out of the way at the beginning. Then we're good to go.
We have practiced several times.
Okay, and so how is she doing with the clicker now?
Good, but unfortunately when my iPad just fell, I think it freaked her out.
Okay, well, let's try.
But I think she's been doing really good.
Yeah, I can see her body language is a little bit seemingly more hesitant. You know, her ears are kind of down, although she's doing a little lip lick, she's doing a little dance there, but she is in it. You know, she came right up on the couch. So let's just try and do you have the clicker in your right hand?
Correct.
Okay, so let's go ahead and just do a few click and treats and toss the treats right over to her. There's nothing required at this point. We're just marking and reinforcing for her choosing to stay near us while we get going. Good.
Oh, I shouldn't.
That one was good. I think you were self-correcting there, right? I heard
Yes.
you go, I should.
Yes.
Go ahead, keep more. Never can have too many cookies. Yeah. Okay, that was good. She moved even a little closer. Why don't you click and put a treat kind of between you and her? There you go. And again, same spot. That was good, waiting till she was done chewing. Good timing. Have you guys also, and you can periodically just click and treat a few more times while we're chatting here. Oh, I like that. She came closer yet. This is a great way to just warm up and kind of take the temperature of where the dog's at. You know, if she decided to stay over there, that would be information. She's choosing to continue to come closer to you. That's good info too. So clearly the clicker doesn't seem to be aversive, and she seems to be, because she startles easily with things in the environment, but seems to be doing okay even after the iPad crashing to the ground. So I was going to ask if you guys practiced a little bit more with the harness this week at all?
We did.
Okay.
Yes,
You
with
wanna
the harness, and I showed her the clippers too.
Okay.
The nail
Great.
clippers, and she was good.
Okay. Let's see where you're at with the harness.
Okay.
And maybe show us where you at like the last time. And
So let's
I would
see.
even mark just when you take it out, just because she had that little scary bit with the falling iPad. Good. Is the clicker you have the kind that fits on your finger or on your wrist at all?
It on the finger.
Yeah. It might be a good idea to keep it on there. That way you've got it at the ready. if you can maneuver finger and then keep it on. Yep, awesome.
So she smells it and then I'm clicking. Right?
She smells it, she interacts.
She's smelling the harness, so I'm clicking.
Yep, I would take that, absolutely. Clicking for her smelling the harness. Ooh, that was nice. And good, yep. I'd say move your right arm a little bit further back this time. And the other thing we can start to do is while you're delivering the treat that is through there, you could also click again immediately because you can mark that she's chosen to put her head through. You have to deliver the treat first because we can't go click, click, treat, treat.
Right.
It has to be click and you're delivering the treat and then you could click again because she's through there.
Okay.
In that case, do just, maybe you might want to use your verbal marker because you don't want the clicker to be right in her face.
Okay.
Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. And then treat all the way through again.
She's
That's okay. That's okay. When she's ready, you already owe it to her. So you owed her that one, and then you want to say yes after she gets it. It's the same as the click that, let's just drop the harness for one quick second. So you want to make sure you deliver and then mark versus you're delivering from the last marker and you're saying yes at the same time.
okay.
Yeah. So let's try it one more time, and then we're going to see if we can take it up a step. So any interaction you can mark.
Sorry, I was just trying to move it.
That's okay.
And
Okay. And
well, I missed. I should have.
hand on your thigh there, yep, or there, that's fine too. You can mark that she's choosing to stay present. You can
Okay.
mark that she sniffs it. You can mark that she, yep. And if you're able to deliver it here and then fast enough as you let go, mark again, that's fine too.
Yes. Oh, I don't think I did that
So-
right.
It was close. Let's do it again. And you'd want to get her before she starts to pull her head back. So that was good not.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I just got ahead of myself. I'm sorry.
So you've got the loop and you're marking that her head is through. So you
Yes.
click, deliver it through, and then as she takes the treat, she's got the treat. Now you could say yes and give her another one while she's still through the loop.
Okay.
What you want to try to avoid is marking that she's pulling her head out because we don't necessarily want to communicate with her, pull your head out of the loop.
Did I do that all right?
I'm going to see it again. Oh, Grisha says great timing on that last click. So clearly that answer is yes. So the next thing we want to try to do a little bit of too is to very gently touch the back of her neck with it and then put it right back so she can come out.
I did try that with her and she kind of backed away.
Okay, so before we try it, let's do a few more reps like this. Just again, get her in the swing of things.
Okay.
Yep, so mark that she's there or looking at you. Eye contact is good. Sniffing the harness is good. Yep, okay, another one. Perfect. One more. And then the next one, when she's eating, you're just going to gently touch her head and then right back up before she can try to pull her head back out. Okay, just deliver that one because I think reached before you clicked. That's okay. She just gets an extra click, and then and you're going to gently touch down. Okay, and then click for that. I think I lost you. Oh, you're back. Okay, let's switch it up. I'm going to come back to that. Let's get the nail clippers. And she does know how to give you paw. Is that right?
She does.
Okay, so let's, yep, perfect. Just click a few times for interacting with the clippers. Now notice she stood up. Let's put the clippers back on your right side of your armrest there. Even further, yeah. And does she do a hand target, Judy? Have you done that with her?
I have done that before with her.
Okay, click for sitting. ask her for her paw when she's done.
Paw. Jet paw, honey.
So that's okay. No need to ask again. If you ask her for her paw once and she doesn't respond, instead of repeating the cue, and I'm glad that happened so we could talk about it, we're gonna do something else, like a hand tap or a collar grab, because we've all seen people go sit, 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 saying the cue over and over, and that doesn't then mean that the dog is responding to the cue the first time in the manner that we would like. So the other thing is too, when we use her, well, for me, when you use her name, I want the name to be whips my head around. So I don't necessarily want to mix Jet in.
Okay.
Also, she kind of tentatively did it, like, oh, I don't really want to. And the other thing I was thinking was, I don't know if you've had her give, you can go ahead and click her while she's just sitting there. I don't know if you've ever had her give you paw on the sofa. Have you?
I tried that during training. She gave it to me right away.
Okay.
Yesterday, but it is awkward.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was like too soft, and it involves a little bit of balance. So for that reason, you can also too take your hand at her shoulder and just gently move it down her arm and click for her not moving away. Yep.
I was practicing that as well.
Okay. And how did that go?
Good. And then I was trying to do this side.
Yep.
She looked right there. She looked a little nervous.
Okay. Yeah. And she just did a lip lick. That was a good choice too. Sometimes the back of the hand is less scary than the front of the hand. You can also use touch gradient that we talked about in the webinar, which means you're kind of like touching her here. And then with your other hand, you go sort of down. But in that case, you want to just be cognizant of where the clicker is, how close. So you might use your verbal marker in that case. Do you know what I mean by the two hands? Yeah. So let's,
Oh, I should have, sorry.
What should you have done there?
I probably should have clicked sooner than I did.
Okay. Yeah. So let's try one more time. Just the good leg. I say the good leg, the one closest to you that she doesn't seem as anxious about. Okay. And her other leg, maybe back of the hand halfway. Click. Yep. And that other leg too. Does she know a lay down cue as well?
No.
Okay. Let's just see your hand target for a minute. So can you show us your targeting that you've done with her?
Well,
A refresher.
Yeah, probably not. Probably I haven't done it in a long time.
Okay, that's okay. So targeting is a great building block behavior, and it's nice because then too, if we're going between go ahead, sorry.
It's just awkward, but I was going to try to do it, but.
Yeah, you're also sitting because you're trying to be facing the camera. But hand targeting too is a great behavior that it's confidence building because nobody's making her touch, in this case, her nose to your hand, but also that good job marking and reinforcing periodically if we stop to chat. If you are working on the harness and then working on the handling of her arms and then working on the clipper, it's a known behavior once we teach it, and she has a strong reinforcement history for it that we can toss in there just to mix things up. It's an easy way for her to get clicks and treats so that we can keep our rate of reinforcement high. So that's why hand targeting is super too. Just quickly to teach it, I'll usually start with a treat in my hand, put it next to her nose. When she touches, click, open the hand, and she gets it. Maybe we'll just quickly run through that.
Sure.
So the second she touches, that's what you're going to click.
Oh.
Yeah. You want to keep your clicker on you so that you're ready. And yep, let's do it again.
Is that okay?
Yep, it's okay. We're going to do one more, same thing with it in your hand, and then the following one you'll pretend, click. Yep, and pretend like you're getting a cookie, but don't get one. Okay, good. That was convincing. Okay, and give her one. Yep. And then the next one would be an open hand, but I don't know if you can do it because you're kind of sitting. Yeah.
Right.
The key too, and don't try now, because it's behavior momentum. So just like with everything else, like if she was struggling with this arm, what we might do is like the easy one, click treat, the easy one, the click treat, the easy one, click treat, the easy one, click treat, and then a trickier one, meaning one that's harder for her, because you've just gotten this behavior momentum going. So it's more likely that the harder version will happen because you've been doing easy version, easy version, easier version several times in a row. But if you take a break, then you got to start over and get that momentum going again. So let's go back to the harness. And
Sure.
just like we were just talking about, we're going to just hold it up, click treat, through the loop, hold it up, click treat, through the loop, hold it up, click treat, through the loop, hold it up, click treat, through the loop. And then we'll see if we can just touch the back of her neck and take it off again. You can click for her just staying near it and not choosing to run away. Nice. Okay, again. Yep, perfect. See if you can pull this one back a little bit further. And I want you to keep your clicker on your finger, Judy,
Okay.
because otherwise your timing, not you, anybody's timing tends to be delayed if you have to go, oh, I need to click now, let me go find the clicker, versus my fingers on the trigger, I'm ready to go. So
All right.
this is a perfect example. We took a little break. Now we're going to come back around. Okay. So
Wait,
you tell us when you're ready.
I'm so sorry. Okay.
Okay.
Here we go.
Okay. Good. Whoops.
I
Did it
can't
fall
get
off?
this thing. Here we go. Yes, I got it now.
She got a treat, right?
I shouldn't have had my hand in my pocket.
That's
All
okay.
right, let's
Look
try
at
this again.
you already even knew that. Good. Try to put your right hand back a little bit further this round. And a little bit further this one. Nice. Okay. And this one, you're not going to put it as far back because we're also going to try to drop that on the back of her neck very gently and very quickly. Down and up. Okay. And I would now click for her not running away. And then take a break. So we finished on a good note. So what you're looking to do between this week and next week is to try to get to the point where you can put it on her neck, pick it up before she tries to back out. And then once we can put it on her neck and pick it back up, then once she's doing that without any movement, and if she struggles with that, just back up to more of through the loop and try to get her face further. What you don't want to do is try to get her face further and drop it on the back of her neck, because that's kind of breaking the trust there.
Okay.
So either you're alternating, head comes through the loop and we're putting the treat a little bit further, so she goes a little bit further, and then you put the treat not as far and head on loop on the back of the neck and then up. If you can get there, that's great. If you were to take it one step further, it would be loop on the back of the neck and then you release your hand very briefly, pick it up again and take it off.
Okay.
Once she's comfortable with it there, then we start to work on, can I come down here and clip kind of thing.
Okay.
But we want to get to the point where she goes, oh, I love that loop. Let me put my head through. And it just
Right.
takes a lot of repetitions and a lot of trust of her not feeling like when she puts her head in that you're going to do something scary, like
Okay.
wrestle it onto her kind of thing. So let's
Okay.
do we have a
Thank
couple
you.
You're welcome. Thank you. We have a couple of minutes. Let's grab the clippers again. And
Sure.
let's see. Lisa says, I think it would be easier without the extra of the clicker to worry about. Would it matter if you went back to the verbal marker? No, that's a good point, Lisa. Yeah, when Judy was struggling with the clicker there, we definitely could have just gone back. In fact, a couple of times earlier, remember when I said she could click when the nose was through the loop, or excuse me, mark when the nose was through the loop, and we didn't want to click right next to Jet's face. I said, just go back to the verbal marker. So let's try the clippers for a minute, and then we can maybe try one more with the harness without the clicker, but just using the verbal marker so that it's less things for you to have to take charge of with just two hands. So the other thing too, and this again might be helpful to use your verbal marker. If you're holding the clippers in one hand, can you then also touch her arm with the other hand?
That's what you want me to do now?
Yeah. And you can, yeah. Perfect. Again.
Yes.
Good. Okay. And let's put those down. And I would practice also seeing if she'll give you her paw and if you can pick up the clippers. That's too hard, but not on the couch because I think the couch is kind of harder for her to stand there. But if
Okay.
you ask her for her paw, practice paw, 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 then paw maybe with a little squeeze, then just paw, stop, paw, paw, maybe paw with some duration, stop, and then you can add the squeeze and the duration, meaning you've got paw, just paw, paw, just paw, paw, squeeze, squeeze, stop. Once you've got that, then you could also do this and hold the clippers. So she's got, okay, she's holding the clippers and I'm comfortable with the whole paw thing. So working on the paw, you can click or mark her, yes, for just hanging out.
Yes. Oh, I just did both.
That's okay, give her 2 cookies. I'm like a little accountant for her. So once she's comfortable with that level with the harness, you're going to work towards seeing if you can just strap it up very briefly on the back of her neck. And with the handling, if you can work on her giving paw and also work on the duration of you holding the paw and also the, I'm just reading Grish's comment, which I'm going to say out loud in a second, the handling of touching and holding it with different pressure and then having the clippers nearby. So Grisha says, can you speak about training context and thinking of how the couch arrangement is for the camera, but might make it so that Judy would need to sit on the couch to get the harness on Jet, right? Yeah, so when we work on behavior in one spot, the next step too is that we also want to generalize it. So what she's saying is that if you want to put the harness on Jet and we teach Jet here on the couch, Jet might only be comfortable when you guys are in this exact setup. And even like we were saying a minute ago, you know, normally Judy might be facing more to Jet because we're trying to be on camera and be in this spot that we can see both you and Jet well. It's a little bit different than if you were just working with Jet practicing. But you eventually, if you would like to be able to put the harness on her when you're someplace besides on the couch, then you would do what is called generalizing the behavior so that we might make it a little bit easier at first, maybe go back to just head through the loop kind of thing in different spots. Like maybe you do it by the door or in the kitchen, because she gets comfortable in one location doesn't mean automatically that translates to everywhere. And presumably, let's say you went with her someplace where you took her harness off, but then you would like to be able to put it back on and you don't have your couch with you.
Right.
So it's a good idea to help her to feel comfortable in different spots with putting the harness on. And maybe with you standing, because maybe you don't want to be sitting down next to her, just as another example. So, but we can cross that bridge a little bit down the line too. So.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Judy and Jet. And we're gonna see if we can, you did great, Jet, and Judy.
Thank you.
See if we can bring Betty and Nancy. And so Judy, if you can mute yourself and then
Sure.
hide you.
Here we go.
Okay, thank you. And I think Nancy, I think you might still be muted. Oh no, you're unmuted now. You're
You
good.
hear me? Okay.
Yes, thanks. How are you guys today?
She's very anxious. She's enjoying her treat. So
She's like, why isn't it my turn yet?
I know.
So Nancy, I think you also sent me a little message that you guys were working on your brushing this week, right?
Yeah.
So how did things go?
Good. She's with the toothbrush. I think she's really good. Now she's gonna go in her cage. With a toothbrush, she's really good about marking it. Like if she sees it,
That was such enthusiasm to come back over and lie down next to you.
I know, with the touching. And then the other thing I was working on with the toothbrush, I was working on the hand, like to rest her hand. I don't know if I'm doing that right.
The chin rest, yeah,
Chin rest. Or not her hand, my hand.
okay.
But I think one problem I've done is I got her to touch this, and now so when I put it in her bag, she kind of wants to go for it. You know
Okay.
how we get her to smell, so that's it.
Yep. So we can just teach her to leave it alone. So if she's right now, you're gonna put it high up over your head, and oops. We might have to put the toothbrush away, and let's see if we can bring her back on our mat just so we can see her. Good. Mark for that. You can just put it behind you, Nancy. Okay. So you're going to put the brush high up over your head and mark for her not going for it. Even though it's not accessible to her, that's fine. Now you're going to lower it down about 3 inches and mark again. And then lower it down. And I'm glad you realize I'm saying reinforce too. And keep going. Stay at that level for a second. From Jeannie about Judy. 2 first, click and yes with harness. When the lady is trying to click for head in harness and then yes for keeping it there, could she have 2 furs in her hand, or would that be too much of a lure? So 1 for click and 1 for treat. I prefer not to have them in her hand like a lure at that instance. But Jeannie, if we can come back to that at the end. So, and Grisha, please remind me, let's come back around to that if that's okay, just so because we're mid Betty here. But I appreciate the question. So we'll swing back to that. So yeah, mark again, because it's lower and she's leaving it alone. We want to make her trying to touch it as reinforcing as leaving it alone. Mark again and lower and mark again. Yep. The beginning too, I don't care if she looks at it or not, that's not the criteria, but then she looked at it and chose not to, so that was great. And right now you're just lowering it, but you haven't moved it around. So if she touched it, just put it up higher and now mark. So we're not marking the touch, we're just raising it up, but we want to keep our rate of reinforcement high, so we're putting it out of reach and then just marking again. Yep. So you can lower, yep, she looked, that was super. And lower yet still and mark, good. So you're just teaching her again that that not touching it is as valuable as going ahead and touching it. Yeah, perfect. Okay.
That's how.
Yep, that was great. And the next difficulty, okay, just raise it up. Higher even, just to make it really clear. And then wait till you raise it up and then mark, so she understands, okay, wait, what am I getting marked for? Now it's high and I've left it alone. And then take a break and put it behind you. Okay. And so what we're gonna do this time is mark something while she's eating. You can put the treat between her paws, then let's try the brush on her back. Yep, that was good, hand target. And okay, so we wanna start again because she's done eating. I want to basically bring out the brush while she's still eating. Okay. So you can mark that she's just choosing to stay there, or a hand target, that's great too. Okay, good. We're just setting her up for success by, she's not going to be able to target if she's still eating, and we're not just luring because we're putting the treat there from the previous marker. Yep, so you're on the brush side there, right?
Yeah.
This next time I want you to do 2 brush strokes. And mark, good. And can you do 1 on the back side up by her ear after this one? Because the up by her ear is the tricky bit, right? Okay, so that was the tricky one, right? Let's do a hand target and then take a break. Good, and put the brush behind you. Let's switch to toothbrush. Did you guys make any progress with the behind the ears this week, or how far did you get?
Kind of what was going on, like I would go there and react to it.
Turning, okay. So we're just
But I
gonna
did it on the hand. Okay, go ahead, sorry.
say that again, Nancy?
I would try to just put my hand there.
I was just gonna say, yeah. How was she with the hand? Let's see that for a minute. First, let's mark something, put the treat between her paws, and then do the hand while she's eating.
Okay. Okay,
so she's okay with that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, So we're going to come back to the brush. So you've had her targeting the toothbrush, right?
Yes,
That's where you're at.
and then the chin rest.
Yep. And let's put the toothbrush down and then let's see the chin rest. Good. Question with the chin rest too. You're not gripping, right? It's just
No,
resting.
I'm doing this.
Yep. Perfect.
The one question, can I have a question about that? When I do this and I
Yeah.
mark it, when I go get the treat, she really tries to go after the treat.
Okay.
She moves. If that
Okay.
matters.
So after you've marked, the clicker ends the behavior. So you've marked, she's free to move her hand. So in fact, after you mark, you can move your hand away if you want as well. The only difference would be if we were marking her for staying put, but right now we were just starting with putting your chin in the hand. So let's vary our duration for a minute there. So put your hand under her chin and let's go A, B, and then mark. So we'll do the next one a little bit longer. Underneath A, B, C. So she moved.
Good move.
She moved, right? What
Yeah,
I
she
would have done, yeah, you owe her a cookie, I think. Do you owe her one?
I gave her one back.
Oh, okay. So if she moves, we don't want to mark that, but then we're going to make an easier one and just mark right away for her just touching.
Okay.
So we don't want to mark the movement because we want her chin to stay there, but then we just make it easier so that we have, again, to keep our rate of reinforcement high. So let's put our chin under. Mark, good. Okay, and take it away. Okay, and again with the chin rest, and we're going to do ABC. Okay, and then this one instead of ABCD is just A. Also, can you put it under her chin without starting at the top of the head, or do you still
Sure.
need to? Okay.
No, I just thought you wanted me to, okay. The only thing is, I think that's when she tries to target it.
Okay.
If she's like, when I go down, she tries to target it.
Okay. Well, if it's working from the top of the head and it's not a problem and everybody's happy with that, I mean, we can certainly train her not to target too, but if that's a workaround that works, that's fine. Also, it could be part of your cue because again, she's deaf. So this could be part of, you know, what is a chin rest cue for her. Like when you come at her this way versus this way, this is target and this is rest my chin. Do you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah. Is that okay?
Yep. So again, the key at this point with the chin rest is that we want to vary the duration. So maybe you do A,
And
and you want to mark while your hand is still there and then remove because you're marking the fact that her chin is making contact with your hand. Let's
Okay.
do that one again. Mark while your hand is still there. Mark hand to chin.
and then when I get the treat, take my hand away.
Yeah, you can remove it after you've clicked, after
Okay.
you've essentially clicked. A, okay. Let's do C, A, B, C.
A, B, C. Oh, and
That was the fastest ABC.
sorry, sorry.
It's okay. I
You're
didn't.
over success. Okay, I'll slow it down.
I didn't say to do it. I didn't say to do it slower. It just was funny because you went so fast.
A, B, C.
Click. Okay. Now, what would the next one be?
A.
Yes. Perfect. And then it could be A, B. Okay.
Okay.
Good.
A, B.
Waiting for her to. If she moves her head up,
Yes.
take it away, do a hand target, something else. You can either make it an easier version or just a target because she's made an error. We don't want to mark the error, but we also don't want to drop our rate of reinforcement. We don't want to mark the error because that wasn't exactly what we wanted. She moved her head away, but we also don't want to say that was wrong. We're not reinforcing anything. So we can give a known easy behavior like her perfect hand target, or we can try it again, but just the second we touch, we can mark. I think in this case, the hand target might be a clearer differentiation between the two visual or tactile cues in this case. So let's go back to the brush and then we're going to come back to the hand target, the chin rest and the toothbrush.
Okay.
So yeah, mark her for not trying to target it. Does she have her tongue out?
Yeah, she does that a lot.
So that was funny.
Is that okay? Even when she sleeps, she'll sleep with her tongue out.
Yes, it's particular. It's one time I told somebody that was a sign of a really cute dog, and they were like, "Really?" And I'm like, "It is, but I'm just kidding. It's not like an official thing, I don't think." So we're gonna mark for her, just leaving it alone. And while she's eating, you're gonna do 2 strokes on her back. Mark. Good. This time, we're gonna mark again because I'm still talking. Mark,
Okay.
and while she's eating, one very light back of the brush behind her ear, just like super short and super light.
So
Mark.
what do I get her to do to get her food? Just mark?
You can do it. If she
hand mark.
wasn't being like kind of pushy there, you could have just, yeah, mark again, and do the same thing. Oh, she got freebie. Nope, your mom caught it.
What about when she's pushy like that? She'll put her paw under her nose to try to get something.
So wait till she stops and then do something else, cue something else. Yep.
She like that.
Yeah, too much, too fast. So you owe her one, I think, because you just, yep. So back of the brush they're still on. Yep. So also let's take a break. Just do a hand target and put your brush down. The other thing is that right now, when she's eating is the time that we want to try to brush. Eventually, she won't need to be eating from the last treat, but for now, yes. So you want to mark something, reinforce, and then do the brush. It's just setting her up for success. It's making it easier for her.
Okay.
And then once she becomes comfortable, then we can fade to you're looking at me and I brush, etc. So
is there anything bad like I'm going over her head? Does that make her feel more stressed?
that also is possible. Yeah. Although, can you pat her over her head without an issue? Yeah,
Well,
just a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. What would be a better position for you to be in to get at her neck? Because if you're behind her, she can't see you, right? So she's like, cut that out, Mom.
I know. I think it's that last encounter.
So do a hand target and then toss it by the stove. I just want to get her up and then she come back.
You can't go too far, Tossie.
Yeah, just a little.
You can't.
Ask her to sit or lie down when she comes back. Good. And then toss it again, just a little ways. This is another reason why it's great to have other cues under stimulus control that we can then sort of have a basket that we can pull out other cues just to vary. We didn't even ask for that one, I don't think. Hand target, toss one more time towards the kitchen. And when she come back, ask for a sit.
Okay. She's not good at sitting.
Oh, she didn't, that's right. Okay, let's go back to our brush. So if you want to sit back down in a comfortable position, yeah. If you're going to pull out the brush, let's say, because we don't want her to target, you want to be set up and ready. So put the brush down for a minute. Yep. And let's mark her waiting. Okay. And then pick up the brush with your left hand if you can. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep, good. This time, while she's eating, okay, so we're because I'm still talking, you can continue to mark her just waiting patiently. And I think you have to rearrange your treats, so we'll hold on for a second.
Okay.
You can mark her for waiting, while you did that. Let's do one brush stroke on her back when she's eating.
Oh, okay.
That's okay. So, yeah, perfect. Again. And were you doing the brush side on her back before or not?
That was the way it was handled.
Okay.
Now I just brush.
Okay. Turn it back over now, and you're gonna have to do a couple mark and reinforce, no brush for a second. Wait until she's eating, and then you're just gonna basically like touch super short, like an inch backside of the brush by her ear. Okay, so still too much, that's okay. Put the brush down And while she's eating the next one, just do that same motion, but with your hand. Still too much. Okay. Mark, while she's eating, get your left hand in position now. We talked about a lickety mat last time too, right?
Yeah,
Do you guys have one? Not
I
here.
do. I had it the last session. I didn't bring it this session.
Let's have it for next time.
I will. Okay.
Yeah. Because also we can start again with an easier version. She eats the treat fast and then she's all up already. And we don't want to continue to make those, we don't want to continue rehearsing that. So if
Right.
you notice that she's doing this, let's not continue on that vein,
Okay.
because otherwise she's getting practice at that and we don't want her to get practice at that. So let's do the chin rest again.
Arrow for the last.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And again. So with the chin rest, we'll just stop for a minute. You can just mark her for waiting while we're chatting. With the chin rest, the goal is that if she keeps her head down, we'll keep going. But if she puts her head up, we take our hands off. So we can also use the chin rest for brushing. We can try that next time. But the goal is that she has a way to communicate to us that she's not comfortable. But before we can use the chin rest in that way, we have to teach her what the chin rest is. So you're doing great moving along with the chin rest. We want to vary the duration of time that she keeps her head down. And let's bring the toothbrush back in. I liked what you did there because it was really obvious that you're saying target this. You put it down versus it's just in the environment doesn't mean start banging your nose against it.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, you do this.
Yeah. So maybe if you want her to target it like you did the first time, you kind of move it towards her, like you moved it at a, yep. Mm-hmm. And then let's try if you can do a,
Oh, she.
so she didn't, so do a hand target or something else. Good. Let's try chin rest, and then you're going to bring the toothbrush in after a couple of chin rest reps. Good. Okay, and a little longer one, this one. If you're worried that she's going to take her head up, try to not make it that long. And the
Okay.
next time, make it short and easy. Yeah. Because we always want to mark before she moves away. We want to teach her that we're going to pay for you to keep your chin resting there. So chin rest, and this time pick up the toothbrush, which is going to be tricky for you to mark.
Okay, so what do I have her hand on?
Yeah.
Do this.
Yep,
Mark.
and you're going to pick up the yep, and then pay, and then take your hand away. Oh, sorry. We were just warming up. I didn't
Okay.
communicate that well. So chin rest, mark, reinforce, chin rest, pick up toothbrush. She doesn't move, mark, reinforce.
Okay, I think
Yep, good.
there.
Mhm.
Mark.
You overheard that one. So the next, start over. So let's do chin rest, mark, reinforce, move your hand. Yep. Chin rest again, just chin rest, mark, reinforce. Chin rest, pick up toothbrush.
And then
Mark.
Mark.
Yep. You can like drop the toothbrush if you need to.
Okay,
Because she kept her chin down, right?
she did.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what we wanted, was that even when the toothbrush is here, that we keep the chin down. And then
Okay.
and then we're taking a break. So we got it, take a break. It seems like we said at the beginning, our inclination is, this is going good, let's keep going. But
Right.
we have to stop, take a break. We can go back to the brush one more time. We'll come quickly back to the toothbrush. So mark something we like before we even touch the brush.
No.
And mark again. And can you put on the next one, like 4 kibbles? Wait, when you mark. So mark first. Yep, and like 4, and then very gently back of the brush. Yep.
Oh, I did it.
Okay, stop. So we're gonna do the same thing, but you're gonna use back of the brush and see if we can get just a teeny bit of the head. But you're gonna use like 4 kibbles again. So mark or 5, whatever you grab.
Okay.
Mark first, yeah, good. Bunch of kibble and
Yeah, I stopped.
yes, you stopped. That
I
was
wanted to do 3, but I only did 2.
good. That was so good. I'm very proud of you, Nancy.
Sorry, Mark.
Yeah. So see, I think where we're going with the lickety mat is she may be more tolerant, especially with the buildup. Like we can still work separately like this, but next time we'll try the lickety mat too. I say lickety, licky. I don't know, it's both. So let's do that just one more time. So mark something you
Okay.
like eye contact. And then put a handful, and then we'll try again. Good, good job not getting greedy. It's better to build up slowly than to go, let me just try that one more. And then she moves, because then you have to back up.
It's hard.
Yeah, I know. But you did good. Let's do the chin rest and the toothbrush to finish it off. Yep, so we're just going to start easy chin rest. Yep. And another easy chin rest. Okay, and hold on a second. I was just gonna say, hold on in between just so we have a tiny break. Did she move her chin?
Yeah, a little bit.
You owe her one though.
I do.
Finish with a chin rest with duration. No toothbrush. Good. All right. And you guys are out of the hot seat.
Thank you. Thanks,
So-
Gary.
So we're going to have the lickety mat for next week. In the meantime, you're going to sometimes practice with a couple of kibbles so that we can see if we can get maybe 2 brush strokes and see if we can get back of the brush here. And then maybe you can do front of the brush there, but when you have either handful or lickety mat in place.
Okay, thank you.
Chin rest, build some duration, mark for you, you're bringing the toothbrush into the sight, but not lifting her head. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Hi, Loki and Anki.
Hello.
Welcome. Good. Lisa says, good self-restraint, Nancy. It's hard. Oh, hi, Loki. So Loki was banned from his training room. I'm just joking, but before we started, because we didn't want him to be too excited here. He likes his training room. Did he have a chance to rest, or was he like all excited listening to everybody else?
Did hear a little bit in the background, so he knew something was happening.
I hear there's dogs getting cookies somewhere, Mom. So I know Anki got the same Dremel that I have, and I think that Grisha had put that in the notes as well. And correct me if I'm wrong, Anki, but I think I remember that you guys also worked on the sound separately and got to the point where he was, and we didn't think that Loki was necessarily frightened with the noise, but we also aren't going to be able to Dremel with his nails if he's up jumping around. So we needed to reinforce him for remaining calm while we were potentially going to use the Dremel with him. So you got to a point where you could turn it on, right? And he was able to station on his mat?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
So, you know,
Can we just see where you're at?
and he may jump like a little bit the first time I turn it on, but then he calms down.
So I was going to say, before you turn it on, you guys are so fast. I would say hold it like behind your back or at arm's length, just to build some more distance between his hearing and the noise. But that's great. He definitely stayed on his mat. And you can gradually move it closer. Are you able, Anki, if you can reach the camera just to tip a little bit more towards you, because I have some extra space Yep, that's good. Thank you. Okay. It's like he wants to like dive on it.
Yeah, and he's usually better. So if I do it a few times in a row,
It's like the first one, right?
that's the first one where he may twitch a little bit and then he gets.
And for those out there, Anke is still working on a limited diet with Loki because Loki had some, what do I think was some allergies. And so she's been doing amazing things with very limited resources in terms of what she can feed him.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have your homemade kibbles today?
Yes, that, and then I brought, that diet comes with some hard treats, so I crumbled those up a little bit. They're not, of course, as good because it takes him longer to eat them, but he loves them more, so I can mix them in a little bit, and every once in a while he gets one, so he gets excited, and then
Perfect. Yeah. The novelty of what's coming next is important and powerful too. Yes, good job. Okay, let's try that again, just on and off. Good. And then we're going to separately, after you do this a couple times, good. Separately, see if he'll allow us to either hold his paw or he'll give you his paw, and we'll work on some duration and pressure, and then we'll see about moving it. I think you told me that you could get as far as touching it without it on, right?
Yeah, so I was able to, it has little holes for the nails, so I was
Yep.
able to nail through it while it's off, so not
Okay.
not.
Okay. And so let's have you grab his paw, or ask him grab his paw. That wasn't a very good way to phrase that. Let's have you either have him offer his paw or you gently take his paw, okay? And you're able to sort of give a little bit of a squeeze too, because I know if you're holding his paw and you're holding the Dremel, you have to somehow sort of make sure you've got his paw. Okay. When you did the touch Dremel to paw, was he lying down or sitting?
Yeah, it might be better if he's down.
Okay.
Down.
That was a good split, just marking for holding it. Holding with duration, also a good split.
Yes.
Perfect. And that, what's that?
Because I use the verbal marker when I have his paw and the Dremel.
Absolutely. Yes, I was just going to say this is exactly what we're doing with Judy, bouncing back and forth because you only have two hands. Yeah. So have you done the split where you hold his paw and you turn it on, or not yet?
I have not yet, no.
Okay. So let's just go back and do a couple turn it on by themselves, because again, as we noted the first couple times, he jumps a little bit. Okay. How long have you been doing the turn it on for? Like a week or a little longer?
No, it's been about a week.
Yeah. Just curious about the jump at the start. Yeah. Loki is turning his head. Maggie says, Loki is turning his head away. What do you read into this? Let's look at that again.
I think he's interested in the camera on the floor.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's not necessarily something to do with anxiety, but it's a good question and really good observation. We definitely want to make sure that we're watching where the dog is looking, whether they're curious about something or there's something that could be bothering them. Yeah, because you have the clicker in your right hand and the Dremel in your left hand, right?
Yeah.
And on again. Okay, so let's not turn it on, but hold his paw.
Yes.
Okay, and let's not turn it on, but hold his paw with the Dremel away, because that's where we're going to start next.
Yes.
Okay, and let's hold his paw away from his, hold his paw, keep the Dremel away from his paw and turn it on and right back off. Beautiful. And then one more time, a little bit closer, and then we'll stop.
Yes.
She says, Loki is turning his head. Okay, it was when Anke was putting his nail into the Dremel. Okay, let's just do that separately. Can you just hold his paw not on and put his nail into the Dremel? Oh. Did he hear something, or what was his reaction?
Construction on our street still going on. Yes.
Okay.
Every once in a while there's a sound, and that's why he's looking towards the back window.
So that I think answers Maggie's question. Yes, she said like right now his head is averted, and she was wondering, I think if it was as the Dremel is going to his nail, he turns his head away.
Yeah, I don't think it's the Dremel. I think it's what he hears.
He did, however, do that exactly at the time that you touched it to his nail. So let's do something else and come right back to that. Can you, let's have him roll over because he's on his mat.
All right.
You're like, oh, I haven't practiced that this week.
Down. Yes. Just don't roll over. Good. Roll. Lazy bone.
You could mark there and then toss it and he'll go for it. Yeah. Let's do one more and then we'll come back to the Dremel. I just wanted to break up the session for a sec so we can go back and look at what Maggie was referring to in terms of when you put the Dremel on to see if it was still him looking away. Until I would suggest too, with regard to the cue, take the cue back out because until he's rolling, we don't want to, in other words, we don't want to add the cue onto the behavior until it's fluent. Otherwise, we risk all of the kind of half behaviors falling under that same umbrella that is roll. We want roll to look like over instead of, we don't want roll to look like halfway. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. Okay, let's ask him to lie down again. Is he looking around at sound? Was that what that was out just now?
Yeah. Yep. Just interesting.
Okay. So just hold Dremel, no paw, mark a report.
Yes.
Okay, because we're just doing a couple easy ones. Then hold paw, Dremel not on, not near paw.
Yes.
Okay. Can you hold his other paw this time?
He's a little iffier on the.
Okay.
On the left.
Yep.
Yep.
No need to respond again. Let's do a couple of hand targets and toss a treat just to get him up. Because he did turn his head away again that time.
Yes.
He and Betty are like in a race for who can scoot to the mat faster. Okay, and when he comes back this time, let's see if he'll lie down again. Okay, and hold left paw gently. He did turn his head away. Did you hear anything then outside?
He's just like constantly looking back.
Okay, so you do think it's the construction.
Yeah, it's not the
Dremel.
paw.
Yeah. It's really good though that she noted that, because that would be something subtle that we would want to be aware of, and it might be something that everybody didn't necessarily. Nice. Do you know why he's a little bit less or more reticent to give his left paw? Is there any reason?
I think it's probably that just the way my hands always are when I do it. I always do the left, his right first, my left first. So I think we've just worked on that one a lot more than the other one, and I need to catch up with the others.
I just wondered because sometimes if somebody, again, going back to medical, if there was ever a reason that a dog, you know, had an injury on one side or something, or an injured nail or something. Okay, so we're gonna try to touch paw and hold the Dremel, but not near the paw. And then the next step will be put the Dremel touching the paw. Good.
Yes.
Okay. And the next one, you're going to see if you can put it near his paw, but not the nail through the hole, and turn it off and on.
Yes.
And nearer to his paw, but not through the hole, and off and on.
Yes.
Okay. Last one, turn it on, bring it to touch his paw, and take it away. Okay. That's exactly what I was going to say, hand target. Yep. So the other thing too that we can do is, because it vibrates, you can turn it around so you don't have the end with the file, and just bring the other end with the vibration just to touch his paw so he can feel the sensation, but without it actually touching his nail. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Let's try that. So back up, a few easy ones. Let's ask him to lie down, sit, do a couple of things, do the things. Oh, let's do chin rest.
Yep.
Yep.
Now you're laying down.
Did you hear me ask her that, Loki?
It's like, I knew this was coming. Yes.
Good. And one more of those.
Yes.
Good. For Nancy, see how after she marks, and you don't have to respond, but she says yes and then moves her hand and then gets the treat. You were doing that too, but that's what we were shooting for. Okay, so let's try paw. Holding the paw and just not turning the dermal on or anything, because we might have lost a little trust with that last one, but looks okay. Good. And this time, don't hold his paw, but just turn it on.
Yes.
Okay, and Mark, you're going to do the same thing like 2 more times, and then with the back of it, you're just going to touch, see if you can touch him somewhere, maybe up by his shoulder.
Yes.
Because we were trying to get him over that startle before we go to touch him.
Yes.
Okay, maybe one more.
Twitching more today than he normally does.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, scary. Okay, hand target. Yep, and done. So that's all just good information. We certainly don't want to repeat the version that startles him. So we just go back to the sound, moving this, to break it down, moving the sound closer. Again, if we can get to a point where he's comfortable with you touching a different part of his body and then approximating towards his paw and ultimately his nails. But in the meantime, also separately, just working on touching the nail with it off, touching the nail with it off, touching the nail with it off, turning it on close, turning it off, but not touching.
Okay.
Oh, good. And there was another one I thought of. So versions of different combinations, but all with that was a little shakeout. Let me see, Grisha says, would holding individual nails reduce the vibration he feels? Are you holding his whole paw, and is there a way you could kind of hold the nail steady so that it's less vibration? I think that's what she's asking.
I could try, yes. I mean,
She says yes.
he's got a little paw, so it's tough to have.
Yeah, to single out just, and if we're doing that too, I would definitely first practice just holding trying to hold the individual nails steady, because that might be a odd sensation for him as well. So let's move to chin rest and toothbrush, and then we can come back. So have you guys been able to practice any toothbrushing this week?
So they've just been doing him targeting it and kind of really pushing against it, and not just a little bit, but like really touching it.
Has he shown enthusiasm for targeting the toothbrush?
Definitely more than last week. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. Yeah, that was good that you took it away when he wasn't ready. And I was going to say, maybe even move it a little further so he's got to kind of drive into it. So we can try to. Good. Where is he going? Water?
That's what when I sent the email, that's what he's been doing lately when I just practice these kinds of things, that he does a few and then it's like, he's like, okay, I've done my share. And then he just wanders off a little bit and I have to kind of get him back.
Yeah. He stayed for a long time with the Dremel though.
Yes. Yep. He definitely did better today than, let's say, last week.
Yeah, and it's so tricky with the food, because what we would normally say here is like, we're going to put peanut butter on the bristles,
Right.
and he would be super excited by that. But like you said, we're feeding him with the dry kibble, which because of his dietary restrictions is not super exciting. And
even soft food, if I freeze that, he's not excited about it. It's not something I can kind of get him to commit.
And you can't get him to commit. And the broth is back out of his diet, is that right?
Everything is out. Again,
Everything's out.
once we started doing the bully sticks, he has started, and that's what he was doing earlier. He started that scratching again.
Yeah.
This week to see how it is if we pull that back out.
Right. Well, in the meantime, what we talked about for everybody else, Anke and I were saying, again, like she just said, that he'll do a couple of behaviors and then he wanders away. But that's good information. That's just him telling us, no, I'm not into this stuff. So some of the other things that we've done in the past is he has like a tunnel that he really likes. And he has a couple of toys that are his favorites. So we were really trying to alternate just 1 or 2 reps and then play a game. We want to just make sure that we're kind of sneaking in the husbandry stuff in between, lots of fun. And because she's limited with the food, fortunately, again, he likes to go through the tube. He likes to play with this. Which toy was it? The one that was his favorite? It's like a an otter.
I think it was like a little frog-looking thing or something.
Yeah. So we definitely want to integrate, and especially where he was with a little bit of startle with the sound, keep going with the sound. For sure, not push too far or too fast with the vibrating Dremel touching his paw, because we definitely don't want to make that averse. Let's go back and see, since he's not into the toothbrush, if he would be willing to. Yes, that's what, so Grisha just asked if we've used toys to reinforce husbandry behaviors. Yes, we've done like 1 rep and then throw the toy in the tube, for example. We've had to be creative recently because of his dietary restrictions, for sure. Let's see if he wants to lay down again.
Yeah. Yes.
And see how he feels about you holding his paw. Again, if this wasn't us doing this for a lesson and she was practicing, I would suggest, you've done a great job. It's longer than we would have gone anyways. And how about if you hold his paw and just kind of try to manipulate so you've got one nail that's not moving around as much. So you put his nose over, not loving that maybe, right?
He's smelling something, I'm not sure.
But that could also be some displacement behavior, like sniffing again is normal behavior, but in that context where he's coming over and sniffing right up where you're trying to hold his paw, it might be him saying, I'm not really feeling this. Yeah, and Grisha says it's totally okay to stop. Right, it's totally okay to stop if we at any point note that that he's saying, enough is enough. And maybe next time too. Yeah, I would say, see how he's like frozen right there too. And he's,
yeah.
So yeah, let's let him have a rest. Do you have his toy handy by any chance?
Have one, yes.
Okay. So maybe cue a hand target or something easy and then toss his toy. I'm a fan of just Yes, you could just toss it, but why not get one more repetition? In that sense, I'll be greedy. What's that?
Not interested today. Yes.
Not even in his toy. Oh. Just have friends from England, and we lived in the British Virgin Islands, so you had a lot of England, and they'd say, "Oh, little poppet." I guess it's like little like pumpkin or bunny, but he looks like a poppet. Oh, he brought it back. So yes, absolutely. We can use his toy instead of food or games or exercise or the chance to move away, etc. So we could do like just hold. You don't have to do it now, Anki. I think he's good, but hold his paw and then wrestle with the toy and toss it. You don't get as many repetitions, but that's okay. If that's the speed at which we need to build some things, great. This week too, maybe you could experiment a little bit with when you turn it on and then off if we toss a toy instead of feed. So try some intervals where you use his toy, even in his special tube, as the reinforcer each time. And even if you only get 3, that's okay. Just do 3 and then take a break.
Yeah, that's what we've done this past week. I did some, and then we did other cues in between, and then a couple more of this, and then we stopped. So.
Perfect. Yeah, other known cues that he enjoys and doesn't associate with these things that he likes perhaps less. But yeah, Ankit's gotten super creative because he's had this dietary restriction. It's going on maybe 3 months now.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So super tricky.
Start something new. So hopefully in the near future we can have more.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure he's happy for the fact that he's not itching, but I bet you that he still would like some of the yummier stuff. So awesome. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and open it back up to everybody and go back to, thank you guys. Go back to the question that I think
Here, I'll post it for you again.
I got it. Thank you.
Okay.
I will. Yeah. Oh, you're so fast. You wrote it down there.
Sorry.
So that's okay. I'm going to just make sure that we can show everybody. Okay. So Jeannie was asking in Judy's case about if when Judy was trying to put the head in the harness and we clicked if she had one treat in the hand and then she could have said yes and gave her the other one. Or if it was be too much of a lure. You know, at the end of the day, I don't consider lures to be evil. It's just that we want to make sure that we fade lures so that we don't produce a behavior that's dependent upon the food. So I don't necessarily think that would be a bad idea, especially if we were able to just a couple of times help to kind of swing the behavior so that Jet would be able to understand that she was marking, okay, now my head is further through and reinforcing in that position. Because yes, the mechanics of that are tricky and trickier also often for a novel trainer. So AKA like a client. So I just would be cognizant of the fact that then I would want to try to move to getting the treat after the click versus getting in the habit, especially again with novel trainers. You don't want to try to get them to not have treats in their hand and have them in their pouch and then move to having them in their hand and have them go down that road where they just got them in their hand all the time. So yeah, I would just maybe explain why we're doing it just these couple of times and then that we just definitely want to move food back into our pouch and reinforce after the marker to keep that clear communication going. But that was a really good question. Thanks, Jeannie.
Yeah, that could definitely get addictive. So it can, you know, so having the food in the hand is often easier for the client, but then and you sort of get the behavior you want faster in some ways, but then it's dependent upon the food being there. So
yeah. Lures definitely have a great place, but again, I like people to understand the difference between a lure and a reinforcer, and to not be reliant entirely on lures, because like we've just said, the danger is that you can build a behavior that's dependent upon the food being present in order to, you know, we've all seen people that say, oh yeah, my dog can sit or put the harness on or whatever when I have a cookie, and we would like to be able to do it maybe at some point without the cookie. So not that cookies are bad.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like you were saying with context with, with Judy being on the couch versus being if she wanted to stand or do something else, if you were using treats in that way, you'd need to generalize to doing it without as well.
Yeah. How
And
quickly?
actually, oh, go ahead.
No,
Or
go ahead,
actually, not
Grisha.
go ahead.
Finish that.
Yeah. So in terms of the luring as well, and I think this might have been part of Jenny's questions, is that especially when we're dealing with danger, like getting dogs to go and do something that's dangerous, we do, at least as far as my my standpoint is that I like to avoid luring them into a place where it's scary. So if they're going there and they kind of know the setup in advance, that like, here's the food, here's this thing I have to stick my head through. Okay, cool. I'll do that. That's one kind of lure versus like showing it to them and then changing the deal and saying, no, now you have to follow it through here in order to get the food. That kind of lure for harnesses I don't do. And it looks like you don't do it either.
Yeah, and the same thing for crates. If we have somebody that's it says my dog's crate trained, and I say, do you put the food in the crate first and then the dog goes in and then you close the door? Because that's kind of sneaky, again, because the dog is conflicted. I want to go in and I want to get the food, but then you're going to close the door on me. So, and Lisa, on that note, you asked how quickly should you phase out a lure? I like to phase them out pretty quickly, because otherwise, like we were just saying, it becomes a habit. So, a couple of reps, and then let's see if we can avoid it. I was showing Judy with the hand target. I often teach it at the very beginning with treat in hand. Oftentimes something smelly, because if you have the treat in your hand and the dog's coming over to sniff, with any behavior, when we're trying to get it at the beginning, we're looking to set up the environment so that the behavior occurs so we can mark and reinforce it. So if we have the treat in hand, dog comes over, sniffs, click, here, deliver. But then the next phase is I have nothing in my hand, again, because of our behavior momentum, and then moving to open hand, which Judy's setup didn't allow her to show easily. But then I make clear that food in the hand piece has gone away completely, with possibly the exception of, okay, now you've gone into a completely chaotic environment, like you're at the vet's and there's 3 dogs that are off leash, unruly, coming. Then I might go back to a hand target with one in the hand, but only in that unique situation. But again, ideally by then you've trained it so that you've got such a reinforcement history that your dog is able to respond to your cue even without that lure.
And I just was rereading Jenny's question, and I wanted to make sure that we're understanding it as well. So if this is the dog's head and this is the harness.
I like your impromptu props. Yes.
Thanks. Yeah. That somehow I need to have 3 hands for this. So I'm going to hold the harness and the dog in the same one. So let's say we've said yes for the dog being here. Yeah. And then so I'm going to move the dog so it's in position. I have then, fed it here. So just as you've been doing before. And then I think maybe what she's asking is like feed, move away, and then immediately feed again. So like there were 2 treats in the hand when she went to feed. He ate one. As long as she hasn't left yet, then she feeds another. Is that the scenario you were thinking of, or?
That's how I understood it as well.
Okay, yeah. Cool.
And I think too, once the dog's hand is through the loop, like here's my loop, we've said, so dog comes through, we say yes, and then we reinforce. And my point is at this point, Judy could say yes again and reinforce a second time if it was before Jet started to back out. If Jet starts to back out, I don't think that was your point.
Right, then I wouldn't feed.
But I wouldn't reinforce that, because we don't want to reinforce your backing out.
Right, but if you had 2 treats in your hand, it might be easier to do that second feeding, theoretically.
And I would be okay with that. It just wouldn't be my sort of solid go-to strategy. I'd want to be trying to work towards building in the time that we can have duration with the head through the loop, so that it gives you time to then mark and reinforce separately. Exactly. Yep. And Maggie has a question in a similar vein. I like the idea of touching the dog while the dog is eating as an easier step, like you were doing with Nancy and Betty in the brush. Any thoughts if you're using a signal to start the handling exercise? I've been using a target to the back of my hand only proceeding once my hand is touched to try and increase the control the dog has over the next step. Any thoughts on whether trust might be broken if I mixed and matched these two approaches? Maybe I should just try it. Okay, I have to think through what you're saying here. I think you're talking about kind of like start button behaviors. So yes. So for example, and I'm just going to say the hand touch or chin rest and then go back to your question. I think a chin rest is often a nice way to have the dog concede trust. And like Grisha mentioned last time, and like we were marking Jet on the couch for, even consenting, this is me talking about the dog, to remain in place, whether they remain in place lying down or Jet chose to stay on the couch next to Judy, because they certainly are free to move away, and that's information. So with the chin rest, the dog choosing to keep the chin down is I'm okay to go, and head up is hands off. And I'm going to still come back to your question, Maggie, but my dog Blanca has cancer and she had to have weekly blood draws, and we were doing this at the vets, whereby if her chin was resting, we were good. And the vet and the tech knew that if she lifted up, we just did this, hands off, everybody hands off. And we did that a few times, and then she was able to maintain duration, and we could do it without restraint. But I think, and please correct me if I'm not getting this, Maggie, you said you're having her touch back of the hand, and then once she did a target, then you're starting. Is that
So
what
I think she's saying? So I think she's saying if she mixes and matches those two approaches. So if she's not getting consent for those other times because the dog is in the middle of eating while she's doing it, if that would be confusing. Does that make sense?
Two hands for the handling, exactly. Okay, so trying to think through it again, sorry. So you've marked something, right? Let's say you marked a hand target or a back of the hand target, and then you put the food down and the dog is eating. And what I would take too is as consent, and then we can circle back, is if the dog's eating, and again, this is the good stuff, and you've put down multiple pieces or you have a lickety mat, if the dog stops, head up, I would be inclined to stop, because I would say the dog is saying I need a break because they've stopped. That's information. Good stuff, but yet he's stopped eating. That says to me, take a minute. Grisha, did you understand about the back of the hand in there?
I think so as well. And I'm just thinking if it's like, if she's just giving, so exactly what you said, I would totally. And then in terms of a different scenario, I think if she were just to give one treat, kind of like you were doing with the brushing, then the head would necessarily come up. But I think there's still a sequence of like, so targeting the back of the hand is still like, yes, I'm a go for this activity that we're doing. And whoa, I'm also getting a bonus food. And then meanwhile, then the brushing is happening. So it's like she's already given consent for the brushing activity that you're doing, but she's also in between getting food. So maybe it's fine. But it's certainly like if the dog is a resource guarder or does resource guarding, or if it seems like her behavior is getting, if she's not giving consent by other behaviors, like if she's moving away or getting startled, then you're going too fast would be my thought. What do you think, Terry?
Yeah, I mean, I think and I think maybe it was you too, Maggie, that noticed Loki moving away, and Anke was saying that there was this construction, and we did see a few reps where that wasn't the case, although we clearly see that Loki is not 100% comfortable, obviously, with all of this, which is why we're working on it, which is great. But that even, averting eyes, my deaf dog forum, people are always saying, oh, my dog just turns away because he doesn't want to listen. But we know that moving away, averting eyes, turning your head is information that I'm not really consenting to this whole thing right now. I don't love this. So I'm going down a rabbit hole here, I think.
So I'll add one other thing I was thinking while you were speaking as well, is that, although that's rude in normal conversation, but less so when you're teaching. Oh no, I've lost it. Let's see. One piece was that I love that this is like that we're not getting completely errorless learning here. So in our ideal situation when we're working with the dog, it's like, oh yes, they're totally fine, lockstep with us every way. They seem enthusiastic. They're continually saying yes. They never have to use their no consent. or withdraw consent. But seeing this where they withdraw consent and then we listen, or the Terry and and the owners are listening, is great for everybody to be watching out there. So
Yeah, that's a huge piece, because oftentimes, did I interrupt you, Grisha? I'm sorry.
No, that's it.
Oftentimes people don't recognize that consent as needing to take a break now. And combined with the fact that, again, it's just, I think, our human nature to go, it's going really well, I'll keep going, I want to push, knowing when to take those breaks, and also being really on the lookout for the dog providing body language that is saying, I need a minute here. And if we can understand it at a lower level signal, like just looking away, then it doesn't take the dog to escalate to a or something, lip raise or growl, etc., to communicate that they need to stop. Yes, love. Lisa says, yes, it's great, love being part of like-minded trainers. Yay. Yeah.
And I was thinking, Tara, I don't know what you would think about this idea, but for our next one, and I'm just like thinking of ideas that would make it more like set the dogs up for even more success, would be, because of our format, we've sort of done one and then the other and the other. And you said that maybe you've gone a little too long with the dogs, longer than you would have done normally because of the constraints of this class. And I'm wondering if you just thought of it as like, you're just cycling through the dogs. And so you just do one dog until like, you're like, okay, that 5-10 minutes, whatever, seems like a good amount of training. Let's go give the dog a break and then come back. Like, would that structure work? And you're probably maybe we're already thinking of it.
Judy, Anke, Nancy, you're up for that. I'm gonna go with yes, unless you say otherwise. So yeah, we'll do that for next time. So you guys are prepared that we'll start with Judy and Jet, and we'll take a little break, and then we'll go to Nancy and Betty, and then we'll take a little break, and then we'll go to Anke and Loki, and then we'll come back around. So that gives everybody more breaks in the sequence too, which is a great idea. Yeah,
cool,
for sure. And I always explain to people too that if we're working together on a lesson, we do have natural breaks because we stop and we chat. And I also explain, like everybody did, or we talked about, while we're talking, you can mark and reinforce your dog for just choosing to stay put. They can go away if they want to, it's free time. But what we want to avoid is them sitting there like, hey, you're sitting there with the bag of food, you're not paying attention to me at all. So marking and reinforcing, they're not doing nothing. They're choosing to calmly remain. They're giving you eye contact. They have, forepaws on the floor, or their belly on the floor, or they're not jumping, or they're not barking. All of those are things that we can reinforce. And in addition to explaining that to folks when we're working together, I mentioned that when we stop and have those little discussions about what we're going to do next or how we're going to change things, those do constitute breaks too. So it's not like a solid hour or 45 minutes of training. And one time we had Betty get up and move around, and Anke too. Those are important to take those little, let's just do something else, like somebody else said, a known behavior, which is why we want to teach known behaviors. So we have some things to pull out to alternate that are fun and not, about our serious, which we still want to make like a game, because we want it to be enjoyable for the dog and the person, which was a great point. I keep going, but Krisha, when you mentioned the toy, we were doing that with Loki previously too, trying to just get one rep and play a game, and one rep and play a game. It's tempting to go, let's get 3 reps and play a game. But if you're successful at one, that's okay. Like when we're doing nails, maybe we do 1 a day, and that's okay for starters. So.
Yeah, I love it. And with Peanut, my soulmate dog, that was really the only way I could deal with his nails, was to do a toy. And so I would clip, kind of, we're at the point of finalizing with clipping, but I clip a nail, throw a toy. Either he would choose to go hang out with it, or he would bring it right back. And if he was like joyfully bringing it back, then we would do another nail. Or finish off that nail, right? And if not, then that's our session for today. And just, yeah.
And I think sometimes from the outside looking in, people don't realize that is what training looks like. They think, that was my session for the day. I can't possibly be done, but yeah, that's fine. If you got success there, great. Call it. go out on a win.
Yeah, you just want to look at like the long-term trend. Is it getting easier for the dog? Getting, you know, are you more enthusiastic? All that thing.
Trending positive, and it's a marathon for sure. And the more slow and patient work we can do at the beginning, that we front load, then yes, things will eventually get easier. Even if it doesn't feel like they ever will, they certainly will if we go at a slow enough pace and are consistent.
Yeah. And sorry, that would have been a great place to wrap up, but I just had one more piece of story, which is with Peanut, with his nails, I always use the clippers, and then kind of eventually led to using the grinder because it was a lot safer for him, because he had black nails. And so like we would get it to the point where he's like offering his paw and like very easily, you know, doing all the nails, and then I would mess up and cut his quick, and then we would be like, grr, back to square one, and then we'd retrain the nails again.
Which was why the clippers that had the light that you showed last week was really really nice find. I liked that.
Yeah, exactly.
See the quick better. Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm always, I try to, I know I probably go clip like much smaller, but I'm always very fearful, especially with my own dogs, of getting that quick.
I'm much better at that now as well. Yeah, of doing like, you know, instead of doing like we just clip the whole nail, it's like clip, 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 clip. Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah,
though.
and then gradually down, and then switch to the file. Yep.
Yeah.
So thank you, Terry.
Yeah, thank you all for joining us. Thanks, Grisha.
Yeah. See you all next week.
Take care.